Never came from no other direction. Okay? And now you see the Peckerwood has come in and stole our history. You mean to tell me y'all can't see that? I ain't got to talk y'all into that. Y'all know that shit fake. And so you see us, that's Amos Nefertari. She was the matriarch of the 18th dynasty, which was the most powerful dynasty in all of ancient Egypt's history. That's powerful. That's a statement. That's where the sisters got to look at their historical greatness. You know, y'all got to rise up. This is you, black woman. You the goddess of the universe. Your history is greater than any, even the black man. Ain't no nigga in here bigger than his mama. Ain't no nigga in here bigger than his mama.
That's right. That's right.
And so those deities became the black deities of Europe. They weren't first white. They was black. They had European features. But see, y'all got to understand. You see how niggas worship the white man? At one time, European people worshiped black people. And even when them other crackers went to try to change it white, just like you got niggas that'll run to that, don't you mess with my Jesus. You have certain crackers that did not want to change their deity from black to white. So they kept them black.
Black Madonna.
The Black Madonna, the most holy icon in all of Christianity. And so you see, this is Diana, the Roman goddess. You understand what I'm saying? That's our set. And you see the halo back there, which is the sun. Let me keep moving. I got so much. And so they'll paint the devil black, but at the same time, just like this, whoever called that out, the most holy relic in all of Christianity is the Black Madonna and child. You can see this, the psychosis this cracker going through. He know the reality. And this is Islam. Don't want to bang on the Arab. Don't want to bang on the Arab. He's disrespecting us so damn bad over there. Don't want to bang on the Arab. But even though he'll go and paint the devil black, he also got a psychosis, because the most sacred relic in all of Islam is the black stone, the El Ruki.
And that represents the black woman.
It's a wound. It's a wound. You can look at it and see it. Okay? And so when you talking about the black, Egypt is the most profound country that the black woman can go to and see her greatness. That's the temple of Hatshepsut. Where else do you see women, I don't care what color, with those type of monuments? Nowhere. And this is to our credit, black man. We built that for the queen. We built that for the queen. So, sister, we got some good in us. We fell off, but we're going to get back up. And this is the temple of Heteru at Denderah. You don't see no temples. That's the golden calf that they was worshiping when they came up out of Egypt. And you see Moses take the 10 Commandments and shatter it. That was the fall of the black woman as God. Period. That was the fall of the black woman as God. When you just Google it, say a golden calf, and you're going to see that when Moses went up on the mountain, he stayed up there so long they thought he was dead. And they say, Aaron, make us a god. And he made them the golden calf. Okay? And so that showed and proved that when they was leaving Egypt, they was worshiping the black woman. They was worshiping the black woman. Yes, they was. And you got Ma'akara Hatshepsut, 1479, 1458. These are all the great queens. The black woman is God. The black woman is God. When you come into existence, your eyes open, the first thing you're going to see is your mama. And you don't call on daddy, love my daddy, But daddy ain't got that breast.
Right.
Daddy ain't got that breast. So you can see where the man deities have usurped the woman. They call Yahweh the sustainer. They call Jesus the sustainer. What you gonna sustain? With what? Allah is the provider. What you gonna provide? I tell you what, don't let that woman put that breast in your mouth. And I'm gonna see which one of them deities provide for you. Okay? That's real talk.
That's it.
Okay. Take it like you want. Another representation of our most Nefertari. Now, I was looking at this queen. You see? And that right there is a statue of T, Queen T. You can see it was a beautiful statue. And some old evil peckerwood just knocked the face off of it. But when I looked at that queen, I took her lift and I superimposed it right over it. And it fit perfect. Look at it. I just put it there. And it fit right over. And so you can see where Mary and Jesus came from our set in Beirut. That's old now. That's old. You could just look up and see that. Okay? It's a copy. Y'all got to deal with that fact. And so it went from black to white. And it just jumped to white. It was black first. And that's why people give it so, oh, Jesus was black. Nigga, shut up. It's still a watered down. She's still kind of look like a peckerwood. But, you know, he got an afro. But again, I mean, a lot of images of Beirut had an afro. And it scribbled all that out the walls. So I want you to look at him again, sister. I want you to look at him again, sister. You got to look. You're going to see the demon inside of that beast. See? And when you look and see what's in the spirit inside of that peckerwood, you're going to look at the literature, the religions, and everything that the cracker produced. You're going to look at it a different way.
When I opened the inside cover of this book, here's what it said, and you see it here on the screen. It said, the central figure of the ancient Egyptian religion was Osiris. And the chief fundamentals of his cult were the belief in his divinity, death, resurrection, and absolute control of the destinies of the bodies and souls of men. I'm already messed up. The central point of each Osirian's religion was his hope of resurrection. Y'all see it? Yes. His hope of resurrection in a transformed body and of immortality, which can only be realized by him through the death and resurrection of Osiris. Now, I messed up, y'all, because I had been preaching this for almost 20 years. But it wasn't about Osiris. It's about that dude. This blonde-haired, blue-eyed guy who we've all been taught to call who? Jesus. Now, Minister Mitchell, if you would, please read 1 Corinthians 15, verses 50 through 55. What does it say?
Now this I say, brethren.
Now this I say, brethren.
That flesh and blood cannot inherit the kingdom of God.
Yes.
Neither does corruption inherit incorruption.
Right.
Behold, I show you a mystery. We shall not all sleep.
Before you go any further, have y'all heard this before? Yes. Okay, read on.
But we shall all be changed.
Right.
In a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trumpet shall sound, and the dead shall be raised incorruptible.
Incorruptible, yes.
And we shall be changed.
And we shall be changed. Changed from mortal to what? Immortal. You got it. Immortality. We used to sing that when I was growing up. Changed from mortal to immortality in the twinkling of an eye. Y'all know thinking it's this character here. Now, this is some deep stuff because it says here, the Egyptians. Now, I was raised to see the Egyptians as sinners. All through the Bible, Egypt is the place of sin. The Bible exhorts you, come out of Egypt. Don't go back to Egypt. Here's what it says. Egypt possessed conceptions of truth, justice, and righteousness. Y'all see it? According to these, the life everlasting in heaven. You mean the ancient Africans talked about going to heaven when they died? See, that's the number one question you're going to get asked when you make your transformation. They're going to ask you, but where you going to go when you die? Let them know the same place ancient Africans have been saying all the time, that the white man stole from us. And they call it heaven. And the kingdom of Osiris could only be attained by those who had done what? Lived righteous lives upon earth and who had been declared to be speakers of the truth in the judgment hall of Osiris. In the judgment hall of Osiris. Now, that's some deep stuff. The Egyptians set truth speaking above all other virtues, and in the great judgment. You mean tell me the ancient Africans talked about a great judgment? Yes, they did. In fact, brothers and sisters, it's depicted in this drawing. Turn to John 5:22, 27. Turn quickly. I got a lot of pictures to go through. I'm moving so slow, I'm going to run out of time, so I got to move real quick. John 5:22. I'll quote it for you. For the Father judges no man. I think that's what it says, right? What is it going to say?
For the Father judges no man.
Yes.
But have committed all judgment.
But have committed all judgment to the Son. What does the 27th verse say?
And have given him authority to execute judgment also.
And have given the Son authority to execute judgment also. How about 2 Corinthians 5 and 10? Second Corinthians 5th chapter 10th verse.
For we must all appear before the judgment seat of Christ.
For we must all appear before the judgment seat of who?
Christ.
Who?
Christ.
How many of y'all grew up hearing that?
Yes.
Okay, now this is some deep stuff. Because that's what the biblical text says, but this is where they got it from. Now this is a pictograph. And in this pictograph you see Osiris dressed in white. In this pictograph his face is white too, by the way. I'm going to mess you up in a minute. And you also see the person being judged standing before Osiris at the great white throne. Now, not only is he standing there, but he has the scales upon his shoulders. They took that and put it in the Bible. Who was it? Nebuchadnezzar, one of the kings, and the dream, the interpreter said, it means TKL, something writing on the wall means you've been weighed in the balances and found, who knows what the rest said? Wanting, thank you. You see, it had to come from here because there was no Nebuchadnezzar. Here you have the brother being judged, the pig, the swine, on the boat represents Set or Satan, which became Satan in European theology. Here you have the 9 gods, or representing the 9 levels of life. And those of you who know anything about numerology, you know that when you get to the number 9, you have reached the pinnacle, and at that point, you go into the summum bonum, or the supreme good. That's a pictograph. There it is on the wall. That's what I'm talking about. Nothing is God. perfect black. Well, the spread of the cult was rapid both in Upper Egypt and in the Delta. And by the way, don't get messed up by the word cult. See how they control our thinking? We think the word cult means something bad. The word cult simply means that's the way a people do things. Cult is the root word of culture. Cult is the root word of cultivate. You follow what I'm saying? Because no other cult offered to its adherents the hope of the resurrection and immortality. Now this is some deep stuff. Notice what it says about Osiris. His human nature, they thought, enabled his human nature. His human nature. Okay, this is where they stole the idea of the two natures of Jesus. His divine nature and his human nature. His human nature, they thought, enabled him to understand the needs, troubles, and griefs of men and listen sympathetically to their prayers. And his divine nature gave him powers to help them in this world and in the next, which no other ancestor God ever possessed. Y'all see that? Read Hebrews 4:15.
For we have not an high priest.
For we don't have a high priest.
Which cannot be touched with the feelings
Which cannot be
of our
touched with the feelings of our infirmities.
But was in all points tempted like as we are.
But was in all points tempted like as we are. And why were we taught that Jesus was tempted in all points like us? Because of his human nature. Yet without sin because of his divine nature. Look at the person next to you. Now, I know I'm getting ready to mess with somebody, but y'all didn't come for me to play with you at this time. So let me say it like it is. Look at the person next to you and say, Jesus didn't exist. So they got this human and divine nature from somebody else. Please understand that. They stole it from Africa. They stole our story and put their ethnicity on it. In addition to Osiris, and see, a lot of people tell you that Africans were polytheistic. They say the Africans, the Egyptians, worshiped many gods. Not true. It tells you here, the Egyptians paid divine honors, not worship, divine honors to the sun god, the moon god, the air god, the water god, the sky god, the earth god, the Nile god, and to a host of spirits of whom we know the names of about 3,000. Now when people read that, they say, see all them gods Africans worship, but yet I can say Jehovah Rapha, Jehovah Nisi. You get the picture? And anybody got a problem with it? Only thing the Africans did is they acknowledged the attributes of God that were manifested in various aspects of creation. What relation all these gods and spirits bore to each other and to Osiris is not at first clear, and it is the realization of the existence of these which has induced some writers to declare that the Egyptian religion was nothing but a polytheistic cult. And yet it was not. It says, for the Egyptians believed in the existence of one great God, self-produced, self-existent, almighty, and eternal, who created the gods, not angels. You don't find the word angels in African theology. Okay? The heavens and the sun, moon, and stars, and them, and the earth, and everything on it, including man, beast, bird, fish, and reptile. They believed that he maintained in being everything which he had created, and that he was the support of the universe and Lord of it all. So you see, brothers and sisters, the ancient Africans only believed in one great God. What's really deep about it is, it says here, on rare occasions in which he is mentioned in their writings, he is always called Nectar. Meaning God, and besides this he has no name. The ancient Africans once, they didn't try that stuff. They did not try to get into arguments over the name of God. Because they knew. What does Acts 7:20-22 say? Now this is some deep stuff, y'all. What does it say?
In which time
Moses
was born.
Who?
Moses.
Moses was born and what?
And was exceeding fair.
And was exceeding fair.
And nourished up in his father's house.
And
3
nourished
months.
up in his father's house 3 months. And what happened?
And when he was cast out.
Now, before you go any further, let me help you. Moses didn't exist either. Okay? But it's a part of their story. I'm going to show you, we're going to get to Moses in a minute. Okay? But their story created a guy called Moses. And it tells you, according to their story, in the 7th chapter of Acts, verses 20-22, it goes on to say he was exceeding fair, raised up in his father's house 3 months, and what happened?
And when he was cast out.
And when he was cast out, what happened?
Pharaoh's daughter took him.
Pharaoh's daughter took him up
and nourished him for her own son.
and nourished him for her own son. And then what does it say? Now check this out. What does it say?
And Moses was learned in all the wisdom of the Egyptians.
And Moses, the one that they told you had a speech impediment. The one that they told you couldn't speak clearly, so Aaron had to do the talking for him. Ain't that what y'all was taught? Well, notice what it says here in Acts. It says he was mighty. Well,
In words
and in deeds. Contradiction. Oh, it's getting ready to get real good now. Osiris, those who can see it, what does it say? Was the great word. Y'all see that? Osiris. Turn to John 1:1.
In the beginning was the Word.
In the beginning was the Word. How is word spelled there?
Capital W.
Capital W-O-R-D. In the beginning was the Word. Go ahead.
And the Word was with God.
And the Word was with God. And the Word was God. Third verse, what does it say?
All things were made by him, and without him was not anything made.
Y'all see what's happening here? Do you see what's happening here? Let me read about Osiris, the story that existed at least 10,000 years before John 1:1. Osiris was the great word. In other words, Osiris, the word, capital W-O-R-D, spake the words through which all things in heaven came into being from non-existence. Read that third verse again.
All things were made by him.
All things were made by him.
And without him.
And without him
was not anything
was
made.
not anything made that was
made.
made. Now that's some deep stuff. Y'all see the theft of it?
Yes.
It's a perfect copy. Look at the bottom here. It talks about Osiris. Osiris was the first man who raised himself from the dead.
Yes.
10,000 years BC at least. What does Acts 26-23 say?
That Christ should suffer, and that he should be the first that should rise from the dead, and should show light unto the people and to the Gentiles.
Now, who rose from the dead first?
Osiris.
But let's put it this way. Let's put it this way. This is 10,000 years early. Now, if there's going to be a first, I would say it would be the African story. Okay? Osiris is the typical God man. Now, before y'all get too deep into this, am I preaching Osiris? No. I'm trying to show you where they stole their story from. You follow what I'm saying? Because the truth of the matter is, Osiris didn't exist either. It's all tomb. Now, for those brothers of the craft, if I got any here, this brother got on something called an apron. Got on an apron. He has the tiler's implement of his office there in his hand. Mereruka. Here he is. This is what they don't want you to take a picture of. Why is that? Because if you take a picture of this, you can come back and show the whole world that masonry is here. It didn't begin in 1717 with some white folk in England. Now you see why they're stopping you from taking pictures there. There he is, Mereruka, Grand Master. Here he is, playing chess. They stole that too. Here it is, fishing. Now, this is just a close-up picture of them fishing here. But if you pull back on the lens, you see all up here other boats that are coming over to help these men pull these fish into their boat. If you turn to your Bibles, you'll see where that was copied to. Because they told Jesus, launch out into the deep and throw in your net for a draught. And the Bible says they caught so many fish that they had to call the other boats over. That's where they stole it from, right here in the temple of Mereruka. That's why they don't want you to take the pictures. What does Luke 15, 3 through 6 say? Check this out, y'all.
And he spake this parable unto them, saying,
And he spake this parable unto them, saying,
What man of you,
having
100 sheep,
100 sheep,
if he lose one of them,
does
not leave the 99,
don't leave the 99
in the wilderness, and go after
that one
which is lost, until he find it.
And what happens?
And when he has found it,
what does he do?
he laid it on his
He
shoulders,
lays it on his shoulders, rejoicing.
And when he cometh home, he calleth together
You
his
got it?
friends.
That's fine. That's where this comes from. Got it? That's their story right there. Little sheep on his shoulders. But the problem is Jesus didn't teach that parable. Y'all know why? He didn't exist to teach that parable. So where did that story come from? The tomb of Mereruka. Mereruka was letting speak. It was his calf. You see, the cow is very important in Egypt. His calf strayed away and got lost. So Mereruka left and went and found that one little calf that strayed away. And when he found it, there it is, y'all. That's not a picture. That's the wall. Reason why I'm standing there on the plateau with the pyramids behind me is because here you see from the sky an aerial shot of the 3 pyramids on the Giza Plateau. Okay? Up in the sky, there's a constellation called Orion. Okay? Those are the 3 stars of Orion's belt. The ancient Africans were into what's called stellar theology. This is what is meant in the Bible when it says, let your will be done on earth as it, y'all got it, y'all got it, y'all got it. There it is. Read. Now, let me show you what's deep about it. It's in the Bible. Amos 5 and 8. What does it say? Go up a little bit. Amos 5 and 8. What does it say? That's okay. I'll wait. Amos 5 and 8. It actually tells you to seek this out.
Seek him that maketh the 7 stars and Orion.
Seek him who maketh the 7 stars and Orion. Look at the person next to you and say, that is not Jesus.
That is not Jesus.
That's African theology. The 7 stars. Let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, some deep stuff, because everybody got an appreciation for this but us. Y'all ain't got to take my word for it. Let me prove it to you. There's NASA's logo. 7 stars of Orion. 1, 2, here's the belt. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I'm sorry. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. NASA uses Orion in their logo because they understand the stellar theology of African knowledge. They don't want you to go here, people. They want you to go to France, go to Hawaii, go to Virgin Islands, go to Britain, Greece, Rome. But don't go here. Why not? Because here's where the knowledge is. This is called the black stone. Brothers in the craft. This is also known as the stone that the builders rejected. That sound more familiar to y'all, church folk? We've been taught that Jesus is the stone that the builders rejected. This is the capstone of the pyramid. And if you look on the back of your dollar bill, you'll see that that's what's missing on the top of the pyramid. Look at that. I had to get that. Ain't nothing European about that. Look at their hair, y'all. Y'all see that? Look at this. Look at those braids, man. That's evidence. We are proud people. Look, now tell me, this is a brother here.
Yes.
That's a minimum. Why did they tear his nose off? Why did they tear his lips off? Because they couldn't take what they saw. A black warrior. Black man, this is what they don't want you to become. Here we have the headdress of Horus, the Christ, wearing the headdress of Amen. If you look at that, brothers and sisters, you'll see where the 10 Commandments came from. Y'all see it there? Got to move quickly through time. I'm running out of time. I get carried away here. Because this, I can go on all day with this, y'all. Here's your first Trinity right here. Asar, Aset, and Peru, or Horus. This is the dude that brother was talking about. When he said Horus, I didn't know nothing about this. Here's your ancient Trinity. But the Europeans got a problem with her. So they got rid of her and replaced her with a ghost. So instead of Father, Son, and Mother, you now have Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. How can this dude here be unless this woman over here exists? Without a mother. This is the original, the oldest statuette. This is in the Nubian Museum. I hope it's still there. I took this picture with my micro lens camera. This statuette is about that tall. Little tiny little thing. The ancient statuette of Aset giving suck to the virgin-born child, Horus. Now again, didn't actually exist. It's a story. Did y'all hear what I said? Yes. Let me tell y'all something. There's nowhere in the world that a woman is going to have a baby without penile penetration into her vagina. Or some way to plant a seed up in there. Now medicine want to, what they call it now, artificial, all that kind of stuff. Back then, there ain't but one way to do it, y'all. Now, I got to break this one down to you. This is what's called a papyrus drawing. On this papyrus drawing, you have, I don't know if y'all remember who this is. Osiris sitting on the throne of judgment. Okay? Dressed in white. That's why it's called the Great White Throne Judgment in the Bible. Here you have Horus, the Christ. This is the ancient Egyptian or Kemetic version of the European Jesus of the Bible. Y'all following me now? This is the son of this dude over here. Y'all with me? Here you have a brother that's being brought to Osiris. It is in this papyrus drawing and inscribed in stone around Kemet where the story came from, no man can come to the Father but by... Get the picture? The only way you can come to the Father is Jesus has to bring you. Here you have Khafre, Pharaoh Khafre, and around his head is Horus, the hawk. I just told you Horus is the Christ, the Christos in Greek, the Mashiach in Hebrew. Christos and Mashiach means the anointed one. So what this means is this brother has the anointing of God upon him. Taken from Kemet, not from Jerusalem, not from some upper room. Holy Ghost fell upon him. No. Here you have what's called the stela of someone who has died. Here he is laying on the funeral bed. Over here is the hieroglyphic writings of his life story. Guess what we call it today? An obituary. Exactly. Here you see he's died and having this ceremony and reading his obituary. He's going to judgment. He's standing with his hands raised in this manner, which means I bring or present my ka, my spirit, to the Almighty to be judged. He comes before Osiris. You see the scales there? Okay? The scales are not tilted, which means he lived an all right life. He goes to Osiris for judgment, and he passes his judgment, and he goes into the heavenly places. Thousands of years old. Ancient boat that's still in the museum. The world's first seafaring vessel. This dude is called Mentuhotep. A blue-black brother. He's so black, all you see is the white of his eyes. He's right there in the museum, but they won't let you take these pictures now. Why? Because they're cleansing all of this blackness out of Kemet. Look at that, y'all. That's called hair. In the Cairo Museum, there was a letter on the wall in one of the rooms. It's no longer there. This is the letter. It talks about an Egyptian who was a caretaker known as Merkabah. I just want you to see the racism in this letter. It says, let's see, at any rate, they actually got into this discussion over whether the man was black or not. And it says, at any rate, on the copy of the Book of the Dead, found in the tomb, and now exhibited on the walls of this room, Merkabah is depicted with his face black instead of the normal red. Check it out now. It goes on to say, a detailed examination of his mummy, which showed that he died about 20 years of age, also showed that he was negroid, but not actually a Negro. What you gonna do, y'all? Now that's what you call psychopathic racism.
And Jacob called the name of the place Peniel.
Now check this out. And Jacob called the name of the place, what did you just call it?
Peniel.
Peniel. How about pineal? See, she pronounced it the way we've been taught to pronounce it. But when you look at this, you see the sun, the light of the sun hitting him in what's called that third eye, the pineal gland. Read on, sister.
For I have seen God face to
And
face.
Jacob said, when the light of right knowledge hit him, he said, man, I done seen God. Face to face. What happened? Go ahead.
And my life is preserved.
And my life is preserved. Read on, 31st verse.
And as he passed over Peniel,
Check it out. As he, who's he? The sun, Ra, the light. Light represents knowledge. As knowledge passed over me, it was so awesome. What did it do?
the sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh.
The sun rose upon him, and he halted upon his thigh. Y'all see it right there? Now, what's really deep about it is she just read down about some dude called Jacob out of the biblical text, and this is the only place on this planet where something like that exists. The verdict is in, y'all. We've been hoodwinked. We've been bamboozled. We've been misled. Oh, look at here. We were all taught that the children of Israel got their behinds whipped by God in the wilderness because they worshiped a golden calf. Well, there's your golden calf. Right there. Not a figment of somebody's imagination from the biblical text. There it is. And guess what? God ain't whipping no Egyptians behind over no golden calf. Let me break this down for you. Look at this, look at this, look at this. Here you got the calf, the cow, known as Hathor, the life giver, the nourisher. Here you have this dude now they got out called King Tut. Now, how many of y'all seen this new image they got of him out now? Yeah. Look at that burial mask. See, for a long time, people thought that that's what King Tut looked like. King Tut wasn't gold, y'all. Okay? That's King Tut. That's the Pharaoh Tutankhamun. There he is. Another blue-black brother. Look at it. That is the foot of his casket. I mean, if you were looking at his casket and just shoot the, it's laying down, you just shoot the foot. If you stand it up, it'd be standing on that. Look at the detail. Look how Africans did stuff. That's my art. Yes. Ptah. The god Ptah, an image of the god Ptah to represent the Almighty One who is the Creator. They stole and copied that too. That is. Y'all see it? That's Ptah. be everything, people. We went to the back side of it, and we saw this little opening. And it's deep because it's like the ancestor Zoser never checked. So if y'all come close and look in here so you can get a good look at me. You look down in there and you see Zoser looking right back at you. That's the evidence, y'all. The verdict is in. I don't have to stand here and say, this is where it is believed this is where Zoser was. She left there and went to the city of Menefer. This is the Ramesseum in the city of Menefer. And inside the Ramesseum, you see a 15-ton statue, one solid piece of stone, of Ursama Akrasa Tepera Rametsu Meriam. I'm feeling this thing talking about. That's his name. And all over Kemet, this great pharaoh, statues of him everywhere, temples for him everywhere, because he was an awesome African king. The Bible made him a bad man. This is the Pharaoh that supposedly held the Hebrews in bondage. This is supposedly the Pharaoh that God sent Moses to, who didn't exist either, to tell him, let my people go. Look at this. They still love this man. Here you have a man standing there, and if you were that guy right there standing next to this and made a right face, this is what you'd see. I mean, just his face would be so massive right in front of you. One solid piece of stone, and look at the detail. There's Ursamat Rasa Tepenra Rametsu Meriam at the city of Menefer, standing with his left foot forward, and you'll see that all over Kemet. Why is the left foot forward? Because on the side of the heart, it's to tramp down evil. The military copied this. When the military gets ready to march, they say, "Oh, march!" And what foot do you step off on? So left foot. And they call, "Yo, left." All right, left, idle left. There it is. Look at the warriors. Look at the warriors in platoon formation. African Wasset warriors. Y'all get a chance, I want y'all to study the movie Shaka Zulu. Y'all see where Africans got, look at it. Look like a platoon of Marines with shorts on. All with that left foot forward.
I hope you understand now what has happened to us. See, white people walk around with a sense of pride, a sense of ownership of the planet. And they look down at us and they ridicule us and they talk about us and they treat us like we are the scum of the planet when we are really the rulers of it, or we were the rulers of it. We are owed a lot of credit for the progress the planet has made, for the progress that the people in this country, in America, has made around the world. We are owed a lot of respect and a lot of gratitude, and we're not getting it. Our legacy, our story has been stolen. Our story has been plagiarized and used to control the masses of people. And we are not getting any credit from anywhere for anything. Our discoveries, our achievements are covered up. They're covered up and passed off as white achievements, passed off as achievements of Europeans. And Africans are not given any credit. Now this stuff is all over. It's everywhere you look. The signs and symbols are all over. And people don't even know what has happened or don't recognize a symbol when they see it. And I want you to take a look at a clip from this movie called Transformers. Transformers 2, Revenge of the Fallen. Now, listen to this guy explain something. Now, before I show the clip, I want you to understand something first. The Autobots, the good guys, they are the white people. The Decepticons, the bad guys, are black people. Now take a look at this clip.
This
And they're going to put all his parts on Optimus Prime. He said, once you get my parts, you're going to have a power you've never known. Alright, now Autobots can't fly, can they? No. They call them Autobots because they stay on the ground. They roll. They're cars. He got that black character, the black man's parts, and took off like lightning. Alright? Now, it's this part in the movie, when I first was watching it with my kids, that got me to say, wait a minute, what the heck did I just see? This is what, man, I had to watch this movie about 3-4 times to figure out what the heck was going on. But check this out. He's fighting the Prime Decepticon. Watch what he says to this guy. Black man. Give me your face. Now watch what they show. You see that desecrated, statue right there? The face ripped off? He said, I rise and you fall, standing on top of him. Now, pardon my English, but I said, hell no. I can't believe I just saw that. He says, he takes this pipe, puts it around his face, and rips it off, and says, give me your face. They show you what they've been doing to the statues. They've been doing that for centuries. So, then they're going to take it a step further. Check out Optimus Prime now. Right. He don't need the black man's power no more. I don't need this stuff no more. So we're going to get rid of that. What's he standing in front of? I'm the new king.
Now I'm going to explain a little bit later why they put things like this in movies. But I hope you understand now that we have been lied to. Our story has been stolen. And now you understand why the Bible was written in Hebrew and Greek. Hebrew is Greek. As a matter of fact, there's a book out that you can buy called Hebrew is Greek. That book basically explains everything. It breaks down what has happened. That book is so deadly that it costs about $6,000 for you to own. About $4,000 to $6,000. You can probably find a used copy for $2,000. But they don't want people to know what has happened. That's why they made that book so expensive. Now, as you have seen, this is very deep, and I know you have a lot of questions, but I want to address 2 questions that you may have that I promise I will show you. 1, who is Jesus really? Who is Satan? And they kind of alluded to who Jesus was, which he's the Son. Now, this clip can explain a lot more in depth of why he's the Son, and I'll give you a little bit more. I'll show you in the Bible where it says that. Take a look at this.
This is the Sun. As far back as 10,000 BC, history is abundant with carvings and writings reflecting people's respect and adoration for this object. And it is simple to understand why, as every morning the sun would rise, bringing vision, warmth, and security, saving man from the cold, blind, predator-filled darkness of night. Without it, the cultures understood the crops would not grow and life on the planet would not survive. These realities made the sun the most adorned object of all time. Likewise, they were also very aware of the stars. The tracking of the stars allowed them to recognize and anticipate events which occurred over long periods of time, such as eclipses and full moons. They in turn cataloged celestial groups into what we know today as constellations. This is the cross of the zodiac, one of the oldest conceptual images in human history. It reflects the sun as it figuratively passes through the 12 major constellations over the course of a year. It also reflects the 12 months of the year, the 4 seasons, and the solstices and equinoxes. The term zodiac relates to the fact that constellations were anthropomorphized or personified as figures or animals. In other words, the early civilizations did not just follow the sun and stars, they personified them with elaborate myths involving their movements and relationships. The sun, with its life-giving and saving qualities, was personified as a representative of the unseen creator or God, God's Son, the light of the world, the savior of humankind. Likewise, the 12 constellations represented places of travel for God's Son, and were identified by names, usually representing elements of nature that happened during that period of time. For example, Aquarius, the water bearer, who brings the spring rains. This is Horus. He is the sun god of Egypt of around 3000 BC. He is the sun anthropomorphized, and his life is a series of allegorical myths involving the sun's movement in the sky. From the ancient hieroglyphics in Egypt, we know much about the solar messiah. For instance, Horus, being the sun, or the light, had an enemy known as Set, and Set was the personification of the darkness, or night. And, metaphorically speaking, every morning Horus would win the battle against Set, while in the evening Set would conquer Horus and send him into the underworld. It is important to note that dark versus light, or good versus evil, is one of the most ubiquitous mythological dualities ever known, and is still expressed on many levels to this day. Broadly speaking, the story of Horus is as follows. Horus was born on December 25th of the Virgin Isis Mary. His birth was accompanied by a star in the east, which, in turn, 3 kings followed to locate and adorn the newborn Savior. At the age of 12, he was a prodigal child teacher, and at the age of 30, he was baptized by a figure known as Anup, and thus began his ministry. Horus had 12 disciples he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick and walking on water. Horus was known by many gestural names such as the Truth, the Light, God's Anointed Son, the Good Shepherd, the Lamb of God, and many others. After being betrayed by Typhon, Horus was crucified, buried for 3 days, and thus resurrected. These attributes of Horus, whether original or not, seem to permeate many cultures of the world, for many other gods are found to have the same general mythological structure. Attis of Phrygia, born of the Virgin Nana on December 25th, crucified, placed in a tomb, and after 3 days was resurrected. Krishna of India, born of the Virgin Devaki, with a star in the east signaling his coming. He performed miracles with his disciples, and, upon his death, was resurrected. Dionysus of Greece, born of a virgin on December 25th, was a traveling teacher who performed miracles such as turning water into wine. He was referred to as the King of Kings, God's only begotten Son, the Alpha and Omega, and many others. And, upon his death, he was resurrected. Mithra of Persia, born of a virgin on December 25th, he had 12 disciples and performed miracles, and upon his death was buried for 3 days and thus resurrected. He was also referred to as the Truth, the Light, and many others. Interestingly, the sacred day of worship of Mithra was Sunday. The fact of the matter is, there are numerous saviors from different periods from all over the world which subscribe to these general characteristics. The question remains, why these attributes? Why the virgin birth on December 25th? Why dead for 3 days in the inevitable resurrection? Why 12 disciples or followers? To find out, let's examine the most recent of the solar messiahs. Jesus Christ was born of the Virgin Mary on December 25th in Bethlehem. His birth was announced by a star in the east, which 3 kings or magi followed to locate and adorn the new Savior. He was a child teacher at 12, and at the age of 30 he was baptized by John the Baptist, and thus began his ministry. Jesus had 12 disciples, which he traveled about with, performing miracles such as healing the sick, walking on water, raising the dead. He was also known as the King of Kings, the Son of God, the Light of the World, the Alpha and Omega, the Lamb of God, and many, many others. After being betrayed by his disciple Judas and sold for 30 pieces of silver, he was crucified, placed in a tomb, and after 3 days was resurrected and ascended into heaven. First of all, the birth sequence is completely astrological. The star in the east is Sirius, the brightest star in the night sky, which, on December 24th, aligns with the 3 brightest stars in Orion's belt. These 3 bright stars in Orion's belt are called today what they were called in ancient times, the 3 kings. and the three kings and the brightest star, Sirius, all point to the place of the sunrise on December 25th. This is why the three kings follow the star in the east, in order to locate the sunrise, the birth of the sun. The Virgin Mary is the constellation Virgo, also known as Virgo the Virgin. Virgo in Latin means virgin. The ancient glyph for Virgo is the altered M. This is why Mary, along with other virgin mothers, such as Adonis's mother Myra or Buddha's mother Maya, begin with an M. Virgo is also referred to as the house of bread, and the representation of Virgo is a virgin holding a sheaf of wheat. This house of bread and its symbol of wheat represents August and September, the time of harvest. In turn, Bethlehem, in fact, literally translates to house of bread. Bethlehem is thus a reference to the constellation Virgo, a place in the sky, not on earth. There's another very interesting phenomenon that occurs around December 25th, or the winter solstice. From the summer solstice to the winter solstice, the days become shorter and colder. And from the perspective of the northern hemisphere, the sun appears to move south and get smaller and more scarce. The shortening of the days and the expiration of the crops when approaching the winter solstice symbolize the process of death to the ancients. It was the death of the sun. And by December 22nd, the sun's demise was fully realized, for the sun, having moved south continually for 6 months, makes it to its lowest point in the sky. Here a curious thing occurs. The sun stops moving south, at least perceivably, for 3 days. And during this 3-day pause, the sun resides in the vicinity of the Southern Cross, or Crux, constellation. And after this time, on December 25th, the sun moves 1 degree, this time north, foreshadowing longer days, warmth, and spring. And thus it was said, the sun died on the cross, was dead for 3 days, only to be resurrected or born again. This is why Jesus and numerous other sun gods share the crucifixion, 3-day death, and resurrection concept. It is the sun's transition period before it shifts its direction back into the northern hemisphere, bringing spring and thus salvation. However, they did not celebrate the resurrection of the sun until the spring equinox, or Easter. This is because at the spring equinox the sun officially overpowers the evil darkness, as daytime thereafter becomes longer in duration than the night, and the revitalizing conditions of spring emerge. Probably the most obvious of all the astrological symbolism around Jesus regards the 12 disciples. They are simply the 12 constellations of the zodiac, which Jesus, being the sun, travels about with. In fact, the number 12 is replete throughout the Bible. This text has more to do with astrology than anything else. Coming back to the cross of the zodiac, the figurative life of the sun, this was not just an artistic expression or tool to track the sun's movement. It was also a pagan spiritual symbol, the shorthand of which looked like this. This is not a symbol of Christianity. It is a pagan adaptation of the cross of the zodiac. This is why Jesus in early occult art is always shown with his head on the cross, for Jesus is the Son of God, the light of the world, the risen Savior, who will come again, as it does every morning, the glory of God, who defends against the works of darkness, as he is born again every morning, and can be seen coming in the clouds, up in heaven, with his crown of thorns, or sun rays. Now, of the many astronomical metaphors in the Bible, one of the most important has to do with the ages. Throughout the scriptures there are numerous references to the age. In order to understand this, we need to be familiar with a phenomenon known as the precession of the equinoxes. The ancient Egyptians, along with cultures long before them, recognized that approximately every 2150 years, the sunrise on the morning of the spring equinox would occur in a different sign of the zodiac. This has to do with a slow, angular wobble that the Earth maintains as it rotates on its axis. Now, the Bible reflects, broadly speaking, a symbolic movement through 3 ages while foreshadowing a 4th. In the Old Testament, when Moses comes down Mount Sinai with the 10 Commandments, he is very upset to see his people worshiping a golden bull calf. In fact, he shattered the stone tablets and instructed his people to kill each other in order to purify themselves. Most biblical scholars will attribute this anger to the fact that the Israelites were worshiping a false idol or something to that effect. The reality is, the golden bull is Taurus the bull, and Moses represents the new age of Aries the ram. This is why Jews even today still blow the ram's horn.
Now, I know some of you are thinking, man, that's crazy, wow. But you got to understand, the official story has always been that the Bible is made up. It's just a story. The official story by scholars, by researchers, has always been that Jesus is a myth. We can't find him. Officially, we can't find him. They just never released the official story to the public. They never released it. Now, of course they haven't released it because people who are in power, people who own these news stations, will be implemented in one of the biggest scams in human history. A lot of people will. I mean, the system will come crashing down, and of course, the money that they're making off of this. So that'll never be released. But you got to think about, if, we're supposed to be a Christian society, or the United States is supposed to be, Christian, established by Christians. But think about this. Why are we talking about Scientology on the news? Why are we talking about Darwinism? Why are we talking about the Big Bang Theory? Now, if these things are true, or if these things are supposed to be some kind of truth to it, or some kind of way valid, then if people came to those conclusions, what conclusion did they come to about Jesus? That's the question they never ask. They never talk about that. They just say, okay, well, Darwinism or the Big Bang Theory. Okay, so what about Jesus? They never ask that question because nobody will. It's going to lead to too many questions, and those questions will lead to the truth, and a lot of people will get taken down because of that truth. So you will never know, which is why I did this video, so you can see. They're not going to tell you. You're only going to find this information in books, and they know people don't read. Now, if you just read the Bible, if people actually just picked up the book and read it, I mean, you could kind of use common sense to decode some of this stuff. Now, if you look at Job chapter 36, verses 24 to 39. Now, you tell me, is he talking about God or the Son? It says, remember, thou magnify his works, which men behold, magnify his works. Every man may see it, man may behold it afar off. You behold the Son afar off. Behold, God is great, and we know him not. Neither can the number of his years be searched out. For he maketh small the drops of water. They pour down rain according to the vapor thereof. What makes water vapor? The sun, which the clouds do drop and distill upon man abundantly. Come on. Also, can any understand the spreading of the clouds or the noise of his tabernacle? Thunder. The sun makes all these things happen. It's describing the sun. I have another one. Joshua 10, starting at verse 13. Actually, you can start at 12, but I'm going to go start at 13. It says, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed, until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Jezar? So the sun stood still in the midst of the heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. And there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man, for the Lord fought for Israel. Read 14 again. It says, and there was no day like that before it or after it, that the Lord hearkened unto the voice of a man. Now, is that a true statement? The Lord hearkened unto Moses, Noah, Abraham. He hearkened unto many men. So Who is he talking about? He's talking about the sun. Now there are a bunch more examples where you can find a sun reference of God in the Bible. You just have to read the book. Now I know Jesus is not the one that you are all worried about. Jesus is not the one that you fear the most. It's Satan that people fear the most. Who is Satan? What is the devil? Now, to help me prove my point, I want to show you this Earth, Wind & Fire album cover. Look at this album cover. Now, if you look at this album cover, everything, every symbol that's going around the album cover is basically a religion from some group of people. Now, everything there fits there, except for one thing. I mean, look at it and compare it. Everything can kind of go together except for one thing, and that's the planet Saturn. Why is the planet Saturn there? The planet Saturn is there because the planet Saturn is Satan. It's an anagram, Satan. Now, how is that possible? Now, let's go to the planet Saturn. Right now, at the top of Saturn, if you look at it, you will find a perfect hexagram. Perfect, right at the top. Inside that hexagram is a storm that circles that hexagram that goes completely around it. Now, from the hexagram, you get a cube or a square. You also get a 5-pointed star. Now, Saturn is astrologically ruled by Capricorn, and Capricorn is the goat. This is where we get the goat of Mendes or Baphomet. And when you take the goat's head and you put it inside a 5-pointed star, you get this. This is why these celebrities show these goat symbols and show these 5-pointed stars. It has to do with Saturn. Now, this is the square of Saturn. Now, it's going to take me a long time to explain why we get the square and what the square is referenced to. There's a lot of stuff inside of this square. Everything is done on the square. If you want to understand the importance of the square and Freemasonry, everything is done on the square. Now, when you look at this square, you can see numbers. There are numbers inside of each square. Now, this is perfect math. No matter which way you add these numbers, it will equal 15. Now, in perfect math, you break down each number until it equals one number. Now, these numbers are 1 through 9 because 1 through 9 is basically all the numbers that you need. Out of 1 through 9, you can create any number. You can create all the numbers you need. 0 means 0. Now, when you add these numbers up, you get 15. And then when you add them again using perfect math, you get 666. Also, if you draw a line from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, all the way back to 9, you will get this symbol, and that's called the seal of Saturn. Now, you have all seen this symbol before. You just don't realize it yet. It's the Bluetooth symbol. It's also the communication tower symbol. If you look at the communication tower, you will see that symbol. Now, what does that symbol and communication towers, what does a communication tower and Bluetooth have in common? They both send out signals. They both receive signals. Now, what does sending signals have to do with the planet Saturn? That is a whole nother topic for a whole nother video. It's very deep, and I don't think that people are ready for that yet. That's too deep, but I'll get to it one day. Okay, take a look at this old DuckTales comic that came out before 9/11 did. Now, as you can see, Scrooge is chasing his money bin. Notice the money bin is in the shape of a square. Now, he's chasing the money bin, and it hits the Twin Towers, and the Twin Towers fall. Then he says, oh well, I just gained a new tourist attraction. Then he continues chasing the money bin. The money bin goes out of the planet and lands on a meteor that looks like the planet Saturn. Now, remember, he said, I just gained a new tourist attraction. What is the tourist attraction now that the Twin Towers are gone? What's there is two squares, two black squares representing Saturn. Just letting you know who did it, who's behind what happened at 9/11, but a lot more from 9/11 in the second video. See, you have to understand the reason why these celebrities keep flashing Satan, keep flashing these symbols, keep flashing Baphomet, is because that's the deal. Now you heard the term, sell my soul for fame and fortune. Sell your soul to the devil to become famous. That's what they are talking about. There are rules. When you sell out, you must secretly worship Satan and publicly promote Jesus. But it's all to keep the scam of religion gone. That's all it is. It's all to keep the scam running. Because religion runs the planet. Whether you want to believe it or not, it runs the earth, period. Whether you believe in God or not, religion is controlling everything. If the people lost their religion, there would be a different world. Because people wouldn't give a fuck. They would want to know what the hell is going on. And the people that's been running this scam for all these years would be out. They would be hung in the streets, and they know it. So they will do anything to keep this thing going. Now, not every celebrity has that level of success to where they have to do this. Now, you can either be a celebrity, and it doesn't matter. You're part of one single force. Now, you can be a regular celebrity. You can, you got some power. You have some money. Or you can switch over to the dark side of the force and have more power, more money, and have more access. Now, the reason why they flash these symbols is because they're not going to know who the person in charge is. Nobody knows who's the main boss of all this stuff, but there are people in high-level places. So when they flash these signs, it's a communication thing to let those people know that, hey, I'm one of you. So give me that new movie role that's coming up, or give me that big budget for my next CD that I want to bring out, my next audio or video project I want to bring out. I'm one of you. Now, when they flash that symbol, that's what they're doing. They're letting the people in charge know that I'm in, I'm down, keep me famous. I'm one of you. I'm not a regular celebrity. I'm not just like running around doing small stuff. I want to be big time. I want to be Jay-Z status. But there are rules that come with this whole thing. And I'm going to explain all this in the next video that I do. I'm going to explain it a lot more in depth and a lot more deeper in the next video. Now, it's not just these celebrities that have to flash these symbols and show their allegiance to this whole Satan myth. You can't be a CEO. You can't be head of a major company without being involved, because you have too much control over the masses of people when you are a CEO of a major company. So of course, they're going to want you to be down. Now, while these celebrities flash hand symbols and they throw up the 666 and they throw up the Baphomet, the devil horns and everything, while they do all that, CEOs do it a different way. CEOs put their allegiance in their logo, in their company logo. Now, this is a big scam that's going on. We are all being hoodwinked. We are all being bamboozled under this scam, under this guise of religion. Now, look at these logos and you tell me if they look like Saturn to you. And remember, you can also get the square from Saturn. Now, as you can see, it's everywhere, and you never knew. You'll see it in movies. Notice the planet they always use is Saturn. Whenever they want to show a planet, they show Saturn. There's a lot more to Saturn than people know. There's a lot more to Mars and to the moon than people know what's going on. It's very, very deep stuff. And and depending on the type of response I get from this video, if I get enough response, then I'll do a video explaining all that. And it's very deep and it's very serious. Now, when I first started doing this research, it kept leading me to Satan. It kept leading me back to the devil. And I was like, man, every time I led me back to the devil, it's like, it must be real. So And I just kept praying and stayed in Christianity because everywhere I went, I just kept finding the devil everywhere. These celebrities are worshiping the devil, and it's just Aleister Crowley and all this devil demon worship everywhere until, I just had to really stop and think, because I kept seeing these people 1 second worship Satan, and then in a speech, they praise Jesus. And I know no demon or no devil worshiper is going to give praise to Jesus specifically. They're not going to say his name. So it got me to looking into everything. It wasn't until a friend of mine, Frankie Flowers, shout out to Flowers. If it wasn't for Frankie giving me just a heads up saying, hey, go look back at where you come from. Research that. That's where the truth is. And that set me on a whole just journey. When you ask a question, you embark upon a quest. Hence the word quest question. And I was on a big quest. And I just started thinking about everything, like digging into words like planet. Planet is net, a planned net. A net is a trap. An internet, it's like you enter a net. A net is a trap. And I started really digging into words and looking into history, and it just blew me away what I found. Now, and it's not just celebrities and big CEOs that's a part of this. They are on the hunt for anybody that they can bring into this. If you have any kind of success or up and coming fame, they're going to come after you. That's why you see a lot of one-hit wonders. People come in the game, and when they get propositioned to join this stuff and they look at it and see what it is, then they want out. They don't want no parts of it. They get out. And then a lot of celebrities who have been in for years, who have not been a part of this thing, they start finding out what's going on and these new rules that's involved in the game, and they get out, or they get dropped off, or they get killed if they open their mouth. It's happened to a lot of celebrities. Michael Jackson, Whitney Houston. If you take that oath, if you take their money and you don't do what they tell you to do, they will discredit you in the media to the world, and then they will kill you. It has happened before. While all the celebrities dying in mysterious ways, drugs is always involved. Accidents, car accidents, it's the same MO. You have to look for the number 25. I'm gonna explain that in the next video. There's always numerology, something involved in their death. It's very deep, and I'm gonna show you a lot more. Now, these other people that are involved, we know them as fraternities, Greek. Why do you think fraternities are called Greek fraternities? The Greek, Alpha, Kappa, all these black Greek fraternities is basically recruitment for up and coming black people, smart people. Now, if you do very well and successful after you graduate out of one of these fraternities, after you graduate college, then you get invited into another all black fraternity. And it's called the Bole. Now, the Bole is an all black fraternity, an all black society. And what it is really is for powerful black people. Al Sharpton is a member, Jesse Jackson, P. Diddy. What this thing really is, remember those Egyptians who sold out. The Egyptians who sold out and told the Greeks all the secrets. This fraternity, this Bole, is basically homage. It's basically like a representation of the Egyptians that sold out to the white people. And it's for nothing but black people. That's all who are members of this thing. Now, what these people do, the purpose of this fraternity is for these black leaders. All your black leaders are part of this. Every one of them that you see on CNN and MSNBC, they are a part of this. Now, the purpose of the Bole is to basically guard the secret of the white people who control America, who control the black community. To stay in control of the black people and black community. That is the purpose of the Bole. They guard the secret of the people who are basically running the world. This is their logo. Doesn't it look Egyptian? Look at the paw underneath the bottle, underneath the vase, covering, basically not letting the secret out, not letting people know who they are guarding and what they truly represent. All your black leaders are members of this. This is why nothing happens in the black community. Yeah, they do a little bit here and there, and they might come to a riot or come somewhere to calm these black people down. Then Al Sharpton get arrested, and that's the end of it. But it's just to keep people in check, keep black people where they at. Because yeah, you can march all you want. They let you march, ain't nothing gonna change at the end of the march. You're gonna get thrown in jail. We're going to get beat up or tear gas or maced, but it's nothing is going to change. And they are there, these black leaders, they're not leaders, they're misleaders. They're there to make sure everything stays the same and that these white people stay in power. They stay in control. That's the purpose. Now, what does this mean for the black community? What does this mean for us and our advancement? It means that we won't advance as long as these people are here. Now, I'm not going to sit here and bash every single white person in the world because they don't know. Can you imagine if they knew? Think about this. If they stole our history, they stole our story, where the hell did they come from? What is their story? And they don't know. They have a stolen story. Their whole legacy, everything is stolen. I mean, I think there's going to be some pretty pissed off people out there once they find out what has happened to their history. Now, I hope this video has shed some light and has opened the eyes of people who are Christian, who are now not Christian. I hope that has happened to you, that you have awakened and seen that your people need your help and they need you to know this information and to get this knowledge. Now, if there's anybody who still, after seeing this whole video, who still don't believe, there is none as blind as he who will not see. And I'm gonna tell you straight up, I'm gonna keep it real. I'm calling y'all sellouts. If you watch this video, if you watch the whole thing, there's no way, after seeing all this proof, that you could just revert back to saying, I'm going to submit and just believe in Jesus. You are a sellout. If you are black, you are a sellout. I can understand if you just say, I want to be white. I can understand if you just say, well, I need some time to think about it. I mean, but at least think about it. But there's nothing to really think about. I'm calling y'all sellouts. Y'all sellouts. You might as well just say it and just agree with me that you are a sellout if you're not accepting this information. I mean, look at it. Look at what has happened to our people. Look at the situation we are in now. Now you understand why we are still in the situation, why we have not gotten anywhere. Here's the proof. Giving you everything that you needed to see. But there's more, and the situation gets much more deeper. And I'm going to show you in the next video. Now, I want to thank everybody. If you watched this whole video, I know it was long, then thank you very much. And I have more. Please, I need y'all to comment and like the video, share the video. Please comment on the video. I need as much feedback as I can get for this video. And that will give me motivation to make the next video, because if nobody's watching this, I mean, there is a consequence to not getting this information. That's one of the things I didn't emphasize enough, because it's going to take me too long to explain. Our ancestors believed in something. They got the notion of hell from somewhere. They got the notion of evil. One thing about evil I want to say, what evil is? Devil. Evil. The evil. Now, the people who choose to do this bad stuff, we can all agree that what the people who are running the world is doing is evil. So that's the evil within them. Now, the people who have chosen to take the side of this Satan and worship this so-called devil has basically chosen the side of evil. And we are all, every one of us are capable of being evil. We have all within us. All of us can do evil things, every last one of us. So that's all devil is. It's the evil. It's the evil within you that you have manifested, that you have brought out to basically hammer into the world, and you are just doing evil. That's what these people are doing. That's what these celebrities have chosen. They have chosen the dark side. They have chosen the evil side. Now, to them, it may not be evil. Who knows what these people are telling them? I don't know. But the truth is, we have been lied to, and that's all we really need to know. And like I said, I want to thank everybody for watching this video. And the second video will be coming. Please comment, please like, please share the video. And again, thanks for watching.